Okay, so some of this problem got cut off here, but we can talk our way through it. We're told that this chart represents Miss Murfield's, right? Miss Murfield's schedule for the day. So we have the activities in her class, the reading, recess, social studies, language arts, lunch, math, science, and art. And in this column, the amount of time spent doing each activity in her class. Okay, so they ask which activity is scheduled for the least amount of time. Well, notice that art goes from 2 to 2:25. Well, that's just 25 minutes, right? You can subtract those two, subtract the minutes. 1:15 to 2 p.m. Well, to get from 1:15 to 2 p.m., that's 45 minutes, right? 3/4 of an hour. To get from 12:25 to 1:15, well, if that one seems difficult to you, you could just count up or think about this. 12:25 plus 35 minutes would equal 1 p.m., right? And then 1 p.m. plus 15, right? Oops, plus 15, that would give you 1:15 p.m. So that means math is going on for 35 minutes and 15 more. And that's 50 minutes. You could add those and check it, right? So we're looking for the activity was scheduled for the least amount of time, and that means math and science are definitely not an option. How long is lunch? Well, we could add, right, 15 minutes from 11:45 to 12, and then 25 minutes of 15, and 25 minutes going from 12 to 12:25. That equals 40 minutes. So 40 minutes for lunch. That's definitely not enough time in my opinion. You definitely need a little bit more time for lunch than that. Okay, keep going. Language arts, well, here we have 10:40 to 11:45. Well, think that 10:40 plus 20 minutes would give you 11 o'clock. But this is going to 11:45, so 11 plus 45 would bring you to 11:45. To go from 10:40 to 11:45, that's 20 and 45, or 65 minutes, right? 20 plus 45 equals 65 minutes. Another way to think about that, add hours, right? 11:40 plus an hour would bring you to 10:40 plus an hour would bring you to 11:40. And this is 5 more minutes than that, so it's 65 minutes. So you can compare hours as well. In this one, I'll use that strategy. 10:10 plus an hour gives you 11:10. But this is half of that, so it's 30 minutes. And if that's not clear, what we can say is, well, how much do I have to add to 10 to get to 40? The answer is 30, or 30 minutes. Okay, 9:55 to 10:10. Well, I have to add 5 minutes to 9:55 to get to 10 o'clock. And then 10 more minutes there, so that's a total of 15 minutes. Oh, that's terrible, only 15 minutes for recess. We should let kids play a little bit more than that. Okay, reading is last here. We're going from the end of the day to the first period. And this might seem tough, but if you add 1 full hour to 8:35, that gives you 9:35. But we want 9:55. So I have to add 20 minutes more, right? 35 plus 20 is 55. So it's an hour and 20 minutes, or 80 minutes. Nice long time to read a book. Okay, so they ask, what activity is scheduled for the least amount of time? Well, it turns out, probably to most people's dismay here, if this were a real school, that recess has the shortest time. So that's 15 minutes. And that's kind of funny to put that on a standardized test, that there's no time for playing, which I think is how we all feel when we're taking tests. Anyway, a student in Miss Murfield's class believes the amount of time scheduled for language arts is greater than the amount of time scheduled for science. And then it says, it got cut off here, but it says, on the lines below, explain if this is true or not. So, is the time scheduled for language greater than the amount of time scheduled for science? I don't know, let's take a look. So science has 45 minutes. But language has 65 minutes. Okay, so that's true, right? Language arts has 20 more minutes than science. And to figure it out and explain yourself, you could talk about any way you counted or got to the number of minutes here. Whether it was looking at the number of hours, right? Or adding the number of minutes, like from 10:40 to 11, and then from 11 to 11:45. Whenever you're adding with time, I find it's very easy to count up to the next hour and then keep going. For example, if I was going from 9 even something unfriendly like 9:21, right, to 10:15. How do I figure the difference? Well, I know that 21, right, 9:21 plus 39 gives me 10 o'clock. And to figure that step out, you can always look at the number of minutes and take 60 minus that number. In this case, you get 39, right? 30 plus 20 is 50, 1 and 9 is 10. So you're figuring out how many minutes you need to get to the next hour, to 60. So that brings you to 10 o'clock. And by breaking this up, then you add, 10 o'clock plus 15 gives us 10:15. So there, you added 39 minutes and 15 minutes. So if I said how far is it from 9:21 to 10:15, you could just add these two numbers, right? That would give you, 30 and 10 is 40, 14 more is 54 minutes. So you can break apart time to help solve these kinds of questions. All right, thanks a lot.